Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Charlottesville on this sunny Memorial Day weekend. We are so glad you are here. My name is Peggy Ruth. I will be your celebration assistant this morning. Reverend Don Lansky is still on vacation. He'll be back next week, but we're fortunate to have Reverend Marge Brown back with us again this Sunday. I'll tell you a little bit more about her in a moment. And of course, we have our multi-talented music director, Blair Jones, who will open the service with song.
It's such a beautiful and well-loved American song.
as is our practice, we like to open the service with prayer. So I'll ask Reverend Marge if she'd like to come up and lead us in that.
And we listen to the words of that song, and we welcome in all the ascended beings and the higher beings that can exponentially lift our energies. Let's just take a moment to do that for this service. And we know the Spirit, the great Spirit, the Spirit of God, is with each and every one of us as bringers of peace, as bringers of light and love. We come here together to unite and lift the consciousness not only for each one of us, but for Charlottesville and our whole country and the whole world, so that we can actually imagine a time when we are beyond war. And so for each of you here today, we see the Holy Spirit working through each one of us, guiding us day by day, moment by moment, as to what each of us, what our part is. What each of us plays an important and a critical role, and without each of us, the world would not be in the balance that it is. And so for all of you, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and so it is.
And may we close this meditation time with our statement of faith. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And now it's time to sing again. I invite you to stand if you like, to greet a neighbor as appropriate with a hug or a handshake or a wave. It's time for the youth ministry and our youth director, Robin Shirley.
Thank you, Peggy. I've been told I need to eat the mic. That is really interesting way to explain how to hold the microphone. I laughed. All right, is this good, everybody?
Yeah.
I'm doing it right this time. All right. Today, the youth will be of service to our work day and helping the hospitality team take a break. We will be downstairs for a portion of our time this morning setting up the snacks for everybody. So yay! So after service, there will be some snacks, and we would love, love, love for as many of you to stay for the workday as possible. I've been told it will begin promptly when it feels right after fellowship, so maybe 12:30-ish, okay? And 2 hours, and we're gonna get it done. Yay, okay. The arts, okay, so we, for like 6 to 9 months, I've been hearing talk with the youth that we want to revamp the Fillmore House a little bit. So we're gonna kind of take that project on this summer with, approval from the board and Dawn for little projects. And what I mean by that is, like, we might hang some original artwork on the walls and kind of declutter. And if there are any furniture or lamp donations from the membership, that would be really cool. So I'm just putting that out there. I know that, we're not going to make any big changes without approval, but I'm starting the energy in that direction. I think the most fun and easiest thing for the youth to work on right now is original artwork to hang on the wall. And so I just wanted to ask for donations of acrylic paint and canvas. So if you're a hobby painter and you have extra supplies, that would be really cool for us. I have some easy projects for the youth to do to put some pretty art on the wall, some abstract paintings. And then also looking for guest teachers for summer and into the fall. We have great volunteers with the youth program, but we do want to bring in a few fun guest teachers every once in a while. So if you're interested, just let me know. You can find me anywhere in the church, usually on Sunday mornings. All right, thank you guys. Oh, let's do our blessing. Children, uniteens, YOUers, teachers and parents, you are loved, special, and important. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. So many exciting things going on now in the youth group. All right, it looks like everyone's going to the back to join Robin. We have some opportunities for transformation. Sunday morning isn't the only time that Unity of Charlottesville offers activities and things for us to learn and grow. So let me share a few of these with you. The men's group is ongoing. There we go, that's up on the screen. Bob is here if you have any questions. You can ask him about it. His email is there as well. They meet in June 3rd at 6 p.m., and that will be, I believe, in the Fillmore House. Great group. So, man, if you're interested, join in. Spiritual cinema is ongoing. June 2nd will be the next filming after service at 1 o'clock. Is Peter here today? Well, there's information on the website. You can find a little more information out about this film, Perfect Days. I understand it's a fabulous, fabulous film. So plan on staying for that. We have a workshop coming up, Navigating Grief. That will be on Sunday, June 8th. Saturday, thank you. Saturday, June 8th. It is from 8:30 to 1, so it's a half-day program. You can sign up for that online, Navigating Through Grief, A Healing Journey. Reverend Patricia will be guiding part of that, and Jeff Barkley will also be guiding part of that. So it's going to be a very impactful opportunity. So check that one out as well. We have a wonderful, wonderful concert coming up. Janice has been working on this memoir for years and years. We know her as a talented vocalist, and she's bringing her expertise to this program with many friends from all over, from New York, from Richmond. It's going to be a great, fun afternoon, Sunday, June 16th, after the service, and she is generously donating all the profits from this concert to reduce the mortgage. So thank you, Janice.
You know, it gets mentioned time after time after time that I've been working on this for over 3 years. Well, I think most of you know I'm a psychotherapist. We have to process everything. And sometimes it takes a while, you know, to be ready to go through our process and to be ready to present what it is we've been journeying with. But the journey continues on the 16th. I look forward to it. I love you all so much. It is a gift from my heart. A great big thank you.
Thank you, Janice. We have so much talent in this congregation. I've been overwhelmed by the number of artists that we have. And we have an ongoing art show downstairs on the terrace level in Fellowship Hall. Jane Shafsky coordinates all of this. Right now we have artwork from many, many different artists. So when you're down there this afternoon and throughout the next month, check it out and look at what these talented folks are sharing with us. We're so blessed. Healing half hour continues. That's Wednesday, 6:30 to 7 every week. This is a powerful group. We have a core group of people that have been participating in this for years, and we've seen wonderful answers to prayer. So you're invited to join us. It's a Zoom meeting on Wednesdays. And if you have a request and can't be there, send it to the church office, or you can do it through our website, Requesting Prayer, and we will include that in our prayer time. And now it's time for our mission statement. Together, Unity of Charlottesville empowers everyone to express their unique divinity, making a positive difference in the world. I'll turn it back over to Blair.
So everybody knows this song, and we're hoping you'll sing with joy and power. But maybe not all of you know all the words to the song. And so today we're going to do all of the words that Woody Guthrie wrote, because there's a lot more to it than you might know. All right, where did I put my guitar pick?
Take a pick.
Thank you.
Floor pick.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, here we go. The guitar's on, okay? All right, here we go. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless highway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Well, I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of the diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. Well, the sun came shining, and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling. As the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. Let me hear ya. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. Let's hear that fiddle now, Stevie. I'm sorry. That was Jim Paulson on the mandolin. Here we go. As I was walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me. In the shadow of the steeple, I saw my people. By the relief office, I seen my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? Now let's hear the fiddle. On the fiddle. All right, this is the last verse coming up here. Let's sing it with gusto. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. Here we go. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Well, it is my great pleasure to introduce Reverend Marge Brown back to Unity of Charlottesville this morning. Reverend Marge continues to grow her evolving passions to help humanity. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in nutrition. Health and nutrition has been a 40-year passion of hers. Her MBA has helped her with 3 Unity churches where she served as senior minister, helping them grow their income and expand their consciousness. As a bringer of peace, Reverend Marge is now coaching people to rise in the feminine aspects of themselves. Reverend Marge has been involved in Dr. Claire Zamet's book of work since 2018, whose philosophy is, as the feminine rises in influence, we will be living in a more peaceful place, a world filled because feminine is more attuned to people's pain and suffering. So please help me welcome Reverend Marge Brown back again.
Well, thank God for Arthur Godfrey, right? Yeah, definitely. What a great song. Okay, so remembering today, it's Memorial Day weekend, and we want to acknowledge all those who have died in wars, defending our country, our freedoms. It's a time to really remember the fallen, and it's a somber time. It's a time to remember the sacrifices of all those men and women, their loved ones, all of the sacrifices they've made to guard our freedom. You know, they had to leave their loved ones, their families. They had a lot of courage and bravery and really hardships that come with service. So how many of you have ever had a friend or a relative that have died in service? Yeah, quite a few, yeah. Leaves a huge hole in your heart. And in Bedford County, where I live, and probably many of you might know this, but they suffered the nation's highest known per capita D-Day loss. So they lost 20 of their young men, which for a small town was quite a loss. So why do we still have war? Why do wars exist? Anybody ever thought that? Like, you know, why are we still doing this, right? So we had a teacher in school, the late Reverend Brian Jennings, and he made a statement in class that over 20 years later still have an impact on us. When we get together, we still talk about it. He said that the Earth is a warring planet, and he said people come to Earth to work out their stuff. And I hope and pray that that's not true. My belief is wars will be non-existent when each of us totally heals and comes really into our holy wholeness. Wars exist because individually and collectively we're in a healing process. And healing is the foundation of unity, right? Charles and Myrtle Fillmore found the ministry on healing and prayer. So it's why many people come to Unity, not only because it's a good fit for many of us, but they want to heal and they want to be transformed because Unity is transformational. So why can't we just be about making the world a better place? And it may be because we don't really see each other as we are. So some of you may be familiar with this diagram. It starts with mind. And that we talk about mind as divine mind or the greater intelligence. Some people call it God or creator, whatever you want to call it. And then we are a part of that mind. We are actually an idea in that mind. We are an ideation. So we have a lot of the same qualities as divine mind. And then we're here to express. And we express in three different ways. We express as the spirit, and that is the essence of this mind. And then we have a soul that has all of our life experiences from all our lifetimes. And then we express as the body. So, and a lot of times what we do is we forget when we see people, we think that they're just the body. And I think we don't really remember how each of us really is and how important all those three parts are to take into consideration. So today I want to talk about a story. It's from one of Mark Nepo's older books. The book is called 7,000 Ways to Listen, and the story is called Untangling the Net. And this is what a fishing net looks like when they move it out to sea. This is what it looks like on the sea. I think this is a better picture though right here. So it shows you all the knots that need to be in place so that the net really works, so that it actually traps the fish, shall we say. So here's how the story goes. He says there's a peace builder, John Paul Lederach, and he's in a town in Mexico, and he's asking people what the words that they use when they're in conflict. And he says over 40 minutes of lively discussion, he says they come up with 200 different phrasings. But he says there's two Spanish words for conflict that really stand out. And he says those words are, desmadre, meaning motherless, without a mother, and enrito, which means the net is tangled. Now, he says the root word of red means fisherman's net, but when I looked it up in my dictionary, I couldn't find any Latin, Italian, French, Germanic, or Spanish, but it may be a dialect that was just used there in that fishing village. So the vision they have of conflict is it's a completely tangled net. Let me go back to that net so you have that idea. So it's all a tangled mess. And if you've ever watched a fishing person come back out from sea after they get rid of their catch, they actually have to sit in the boat and they have to untangle the net and they have to repair it any places where it broke because it wouldn't be ready for the next day's catch if there was a hole in the net. So all the points of contact in the net have to be connected. And the fishing net is a vision for healing because it includes the focus and the importance of the collective whole. A fisher person resolves the tangle by restoring all of the connections there of the net. And the restored relationships bring back the very fabric and the function of community. So think about this. If you're living in that fishing village and the nets are not working and there's no fish, you can't eat. You can't eat fish because that's their livelihood. So, and only when it's beyond repair, when something happens and the net is just totally wiped out, do they then cut it and then they use those bits and pieces to make another net. So does madre, meaning motherless, implies being lost or having lost the connection to the actual center. So in this fishing village, resolving conflict hinges on untangling the net by which people are fed and restoring their connections. So both of these examples address the importance of relationships and the connections underneath the surface of what the conflict is. Now, here's an important difference. When we speak of, many of us, I'm not saying everybody, when we speak about and talk about conflict, we tend to focus on the impasse or the part that's broken, on the brokenness, not on the wholeness that's broken, but on the brokenness. And in the fishing net example in this village, they think about the loss of connection, the loss of the center. They point to the state of wholeness which has fallen. So you see what the difference is. It's kind of a mindset difference, isn't it? So the emphasis is not on blaming anybody on the conflict, and Mark Nepo says nets left in the water long enough would tangle. It's part of what they do. And being human, it's part of what we do. We untangle the knots, right? Once we get past the blame game. So the peacemaker, John Paul, when he goes around the world doing his peace thing, he asks 3 questions. He says, first of all, how did this start? And the second question he asks is, what kind of patterns led to this disruption and or violence? And then the third question, and the deepest, is he starts to examine the history, the long history of who we are. And he says it often takes as long to get out of the conflict as it got to take into the conflict. So for this reason, the deeper the inquiry into the question, the deeper the chance to transform the relationships. Anybody have an experience of that? Come on, are you with me? Anybody have an experience of that? All right. So what does this mean for us as spiritual practitioners? So no matter what the form, we have to untangle the knots in the net. We have to untangle the net, not the knots. They're already broken. And because if we don't, it impedes harmony in our lives. And life on earth is a never-ending series of tangles, is it not? So what is our part? What is each of our parts in creating a peace-filled world? So Unity belongs to, and many of you know this, have been in the membership classes, we belong to the Association of Global New Thought. And you see there's Agape and Centers for Spiritual Living. And one of the first premises of AGNT, Global New Thought, very first on their website is that statement right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's a little low. We're co-creating a world in which peace and fairness are cherished as inseparable and vital dimensions of the existence of every individual of the whole community, which actually support the non-violent conflict resolution and restorative justice. So that's actually what we all stand for. We stand for, as part of that global network, we stand for other things too. So if you look at the top, we stand for really helping the environment, living according to what we are respecting Mother Earth. We know we can master ourselves. We know we can have an inner life and we practice it. We know we're creative, we make music. And we know we can we know we are in relationships and can be in compassionate service. And of course, we take care of our body with wellness and so on. So those are some of the things we stand for as part of being in Global New Thought. Now, Global New Thought, let's see, New Thought started in the 1830s, and AGNT was founded in this actual century that we're in. But our roots, which is very important, come way back. So you see here up in Plato and Socrates, it's like 400 BCE, so way back when. And this diagram shows us that, you know, we follow the teachings of Jesus, of course. There's the Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, the prehistory wisdom. We have here the transcendentalists. And then here we have our teachers, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore. So you see they studied all of these and they developed unity. And this is Emma Curtis Hopkins. Who knows Emma Curtis Hopkins? Right. Yeah, so she was the quintessential teacher. She taught the Fillmores, which of course they founded Unity. She taught Nona Brooks, who founded Divine Science, Melinda Kramer, Ernest Holmes, Religious Science, Unity Church of Religious Science. So she was quite the force in her days. And this, you can easily call up this diagram if anybody's interested. So we're creators, and our way shower said, these things you will do and greater things. So we have to ask ourselves, if we're on the planet, we're still taking up space, and we're still using resources, how are we helping to create peace? How are we using our unique talents and our gifts to create a better world? And this is, you know, what each of us continues to ask. So how do our nets get tangled? Well, they do. It's part of life. So part of what happens is our expectations of one another. Sometimes we think people are supposed to read our mind and meet what our needs are without telling them. Sometimes we can be overwhelmed with things and we can be insensitive to others. Sometimes we have misunderstandings or there's lack of communication. There's sometimes carelessness, you know, where we get overwhelmed or we don't have enough time and we maybe don't follow through on something we said we were going to do, shifting priorities, different perceptions, etc. And then there are also our triggers. So last year, about this time, I did a vow renewal for friends who were married for 50 years. And so somewhere in the celebration, somebody said, well, you know, how did you guys work out the stuff or say the tangles in your net, in your relationships in the early years? And at the time they had horses. So Paula said, who's married to a gem of a husband, Sandy, she said, well, you know, Sunday afternoons were pretty much shoveling manure in the horse stalls, and she said that's kind of where we worked out our stuff. And I thought that was a pretty apropos example. Being in the horse stall, shoveling manure, and then working out your stuff. Yeah. And then I heard this week another example about a trigger, about somebody who's been married decades, and she and her husband were doing a project together. And they were coming to a step, and he said, it's not necessary. And all of a sudden, when she heard those words, she started to go ballistic inside. And she had a moment, and she paused, and she thought, well, I can't go ballistic. All he said was, it's not necessary. Well, then she is a self-reflecting person, so she finally realized that when she was a teenager, every stage in her development, when she wanted to go stay late out at night, she had to ask her dad, and her dad said, it's not necessary. And when she wanted to start dating, her dad said, it's not necessary. And when she wanted to date somebody older, her dad said, it's not necessary. So naturally, when they were doing this project and her husband said it's not necessary, she went back to that teenager self, right? Anybody ever have the experience of doing that? Yeah, and then you realize you're like 7 or 10 or 14 or 15 at the time, right? Yeah, so how do we know when we're triggered? Yeah, so triggers can come from family of origin, traumatic events. We make meaning out of something when it's not really the meaning that it had. And we can have a hurtful experience, and that can trigger us. And then how do we know when something's not right? So when something's not right, we can feel it right away, can't we? It either goes to our throat, which a lot of women, we don't want to say anything, or we can feel it in our heart, or we can feel it in our gut. And those are our storage places, unique to all of us, right? And when something happens, introverts, like I am, it takes us a little while to process. And then if you're with an extrovert, they're already moved on, and you're like, you can't even figure out what's going on before to address it, right? So when we are trying to work out these knots, timing is very important because we both need to be 100% there. Because, let me get back here. Whoops, a little too quick. Let's see, okay. Yeah, so timing is important. So, when something is wrong in any kind of relationship, you have to address it and say, sometime I want to talk about that. When would be a good time? And we need 100% of both parties' attention, not like they're on their cell phone or looking at something. And it's very important to, I believe, to preface it with, this is really important for me because I'm feeling vulnerable and I really want to fully understand it. And then some of the ways you can say is, I really didn't understand when you said that, or did you mean that, or what were you thinking, or remind me, or what just happened. And sometimes that, if anybody has done this, everybody's in relationship has done this, sometimes the first pass through doesn't go well because you get automatically triggered again. So you have to say, well, let's just take a time out. Let's just move away from this and come back. So I'm sorry you can't read this slide very well, but this is, as part of this organization, as part of being a New Thought, we are committed to bringing peace in the world and nonviolence. So we have to take that into our hearts and really, imagine a time when we can actually be without war. What I like to think about is, maybe not the next generation, but maybe the generation after that, where they don't even know, they ask somebody, what was war? What do you mean war? You mean people killed one another? I would like to actually see that in the future, that would happen. So we follow the teachings of Jesus, and some of them are, love one another as I have loved you, go the extra mile, you can do greater things. And we follow the teachings of Jesus. We don't worship him. He was a person just like we are. He evolved and mastered his consciousness, but we don't worship him. We follow the teachings. So, and maybe some of us want to have self-mastery and we want to unfold into the highest consciousness that we can. And unfold is the operative word because we're already there. So it's just a matter of moving all the stuff away and unfolding back into what we came here to be. So ye can do greater things may mean, if you take that into meditation, that if I can do greater things and I'm in charge of playing my part to bring peace in the world, then maybe it's up to me to initiate untangling the knots. And it's work, it's hard work. And that book, Crucial Conversations, it always tells us to start with heart, start with our hearts connecting to the other person's heart. And most of us would readily admit that we would like to avoid conflict. Anybody would like to avoid conflict? Right. Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes it's in a power position too, where you might have to go to your boss and say, you didn't really understand the full picture of that, so you're in a very vulnerable position if it's within a power position too. So what happens if we let things slide? Well, usually things get more tangled. Anybody ever experience that? If you let things slide, do they get more tangled? Yeah, they definitely get more tangled. Yeah. And the more tangled they get, it can block our energy flow, it weighs us down, it can lead to a depressed state of mind, and the relationship is inharmonious. We have a tendency to avoid the person, don't we? And we can continue dwelling on the incident, which takes up the high rent in our mind, which we don't want to do. So the teachings from this fisherman's story, fisher person's story, is when they spread the nets, they actually back away from one another. If you're ever working with somebody who's spreading a seine net, you back away from each other so you can open up and spread the whole net. And that's because they can see the tangles more easily when the net's fully opened. And once the net's repaired and they're ready, they can walk in the water and use the net together. And once untangled, the net is used to feed. So for us, when we have the courage to face difficult situations and challenges and the commitment to add peace in the world, we have to let enough space between us so that the net of the relationship can untangle and fully open. And then when the net and the untangled mess is untangled, it can feed us. So Mark Nepo says, he tells on himself in this story, and he says, this really hurtful thing happened with a good friend. And he didn't address it, but he just cut the guy out of his friendship. And, but he said it was still bugging him, it was still like going around in his mind, in his mind, in his mind. And then he said he was trying to untangle an extension cord in his garage. And then he took the, because they can get all coiled up, those wires in the extension cords, especially the long ones. And he said he took the bundle of the extension cord and he just slammed it on the cement floor. And so he said that one of the teachings is, when you don't take care of the tangled and that they get into a tangled mess, it can lead to violence. So sometimes we have to actually, take a Hoover to our consciousness and really clear it out. So can we be the change? If we live half-heartedly, then it means, or if we cut people out or we try to avoid them, it means that part of our heart is constricted. It's not open fully like a full net. And when we live, which of course compromises our health. And when we live wholeheartedly, we want to untangle the nets, because then we are living from that state of mind, of Christ consciousness, and we are also committed to peace, because as peace is in each one of us, it will and it can manifest in the world. Namaste. And now as we prepare for meditation, we take in a few deep breaths. And any thoughts that pass through, we just thank them and let them go. Hang them on a hanger, put them in the closet, shut the door. You'll have plenty of time to think them later. And notice as we continue to breathe deeply, we become more relaxed. Our heartbeat actually slows down. And on this Memorial Day weekend, a suggestion as we are in the silence is to hold in mind or use a mantra of peace. Peace, peace. As we spend a few minutes in the silence. And as we gently bring our awareness back to this time and place, I would invite us to say this prayer together. This is actually written for Holocaust remembrance. I've used it in memorial services. I think it's a beautiful prayer. So let us say it together. At the rising sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us. We remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have achievements that are blessed, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are part of us. We remember them.
Reverend March, thank you for that inspiring message and meditation, and for the invitation for us to be the peace. This is the time in our service when we had the opportunity to give back to Unity of Charlottesville. We are totally supported by your gifts and your tithes, so we thank you for your generosity. So while you're getting that together, first I'd like to ask, is there anyone here visiting for the first time? I know we have one visitor. Welcome. Welcome. We met earlier. Anyone else that's here on this Memorial Day Sunday? Well, if there's anyone watching online, we invite you to join us here in our sanctuary every Sunday morning at 10:30. There are many ways to give back. You can use the Tithely app. There's information on the screen right now. You just enter that into your phone, into the Tithely app. Very easy to give. Just mark General Fund and type in the amount, and zip, it goes. You can mail a check to the church office. And of course, you can give your tithe, your offering this morning. Buddy's coming around with a butterfly net to collect those things. So together, let's bless our tithes and our offerings this morning. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
With our eyes wide shut in the still of night, we sit and hold the vision. When the fears run wild, we don't run and hide. We see a world with no division. We see with one love, one heart, one drum beaten to a song that's singing us home. We dance in white light under the starlight. We are the sacred seeds of the sound of Om. And we say, Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om. And we say, Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. Well, in your eyes you see our other side. You're a perfectly clear reflection. There are no others, there's only one mother, and she's taking us in one direction. Oh, love is our weapon, music our religion, peace is our power, peace is our mission. We don't separate or dominate, we appreciate and celebrate, and we say, Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om. And we say, Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. And we can go higher, higher, higher still. And we can get louder, louder, louder. Yes, we will. We feel the power in the presence. It's the all, it's the essence, and in it we own this space. We don't get lost in thought or drown in the drama. We're the guardians of this place. We see with one love, one heart, one drum beating to a song that's singing us home. We dance in white light under the moonlight. We are the sacred seeds of the sound of Om, and we say Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om, and we say Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om. We are the movers and shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and shakers and the peacemakers, and we can go higher, higher, higher still, and we can get louder, 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 yes we will, and we can go higher, higher, higher still, and we can get louder, 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 yes we will. We are the movers and shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and shakers and the peacemakers. We are the wielders and the leaders. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. We are the movers and the shakers and the peacemakers. Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om, and we say Aho, Amen, Om Shanti Om.
And we bless these tithes and offerings in gratitude, and we send them forward to do the good work that Unity of Charlottesville sets out to do. And so it is. Amen. We have a few things I'd like to share with you. We do offer pastoral care. If anyone has a need, you can call the church office. There's also a form on our website that you can complete, and we do have people here in the congregation that are able to reach out and help you with things like grocery errands or moving something in your home, whatever that need might be. Next week, our very own Reverend Don Lansky will be back. His title is, "Where is My Peace of Mind?" That's true. Right now it is, but he'll be back. And I would like to thank everyone who has participated and made this morning possible. Our blessing team that greeted everyone as they entered the church. Our sound team making it possible for us to hear and for us to live stream. Yes. Of course, our music team. Blair, I'll let you introduce everyone. Praise singers and our band. And of course, Reverend Marge, thank you so much for being here today. After the service, the Healing Helpers will be back in the corner. PMH is already there. Buddy is available. If you'd like individual prayer, he'll be here in the front. So.
Thank you, Peggy.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And now let's stand and join together as we say the prayer for protection. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, united all.
we commit to untangling our knots.
Very good, very good.
You guys are untangling